Michael Wilbon and Stephen A. Smith, we all got knocked down a peg in that one. 84 points, the lowest amount of points, the fewest amount of points to win a game this season, regular season and playoffs. What'd you guys see?
Well, it was an atrocity offensively. Nobody could hit shots. When you look at Devin Booker, he shot 8 for 22. Chris Paul shot 6 of 22. On the other side, Paul George was an absolutely awful 5 for 20 from the field, 1 of 9 from three-point range, and really went 12 of 16 from the free throw line. Missed 2 pivotal free throws in the fourth quarter. The other 2 he had missed on purpose. In the end, though, what it comes down to is this. The Clippers needed to step up and make something happen offensively. They put themselves in the double-digit hole. They weren't able to overcome it. And ultimately, that's going to be the story for why the Clippers lost this game more so than anything else.
But I will say this. That's some hellacious defense played tonight.
Yeah.
That's some great defense. That's some 1980s and 90s defense. I'm dating myself. I don't care if the kiddies don't know what that means. Go to YouTube and find it.
Right.
That game had defense, and they let them play. But the Clippers can't wait until the third quarter to start to play as hard as they did in the third quarter in both games 3 and 4. They were in the Suns' head, I believed.
Yeah.
But you can't wait until the third quarter to do that because you're playing from behind by 16, like Stephen A. mentioned. So there's a lot to relive in this game, even though there was no artistry whatsoever.
There's a couple of things we owe to viewers. Number one, Kendrick Perkins was right. We were wrong. We both picked the Suns. He picked the Clippers. Number two,
we both picked the
Suns.
He picked the Suns.
I know we picked the Clippers. He picked the Suns. Yes. Number two, because we picked the Clippers, we tend to get a bit emotional about it. Let's just be honest about it, because we want our picks to be absolutely correct, and it wasn't tonight. But really, what it comes down to is this, Mike. I saw a Suns team that was running their offense but wasn't making shots.
Right.
I saw a Clippers team that, particularly midway to late in the third quarter and into the fourth quarter, were very, very sloppy and disoriented in my mind.
All right, Kendrick's in the studio right now with a big smile on his face, by the way.
Yes.
You know he is.
Yeah. Okay, what do you guys see moving forward? Game 5's Monday in Phoenix.
I think it's over. I'm not saying the Clippers can't win, but I wouldn't bet my money on them, because if the Suns, with Devin Booker hampered, with Chris Paul working off some of that rust, but still doing so, still able to go on the road and win a game like this, that crowd waiting back for them in Phoenix is going to be as rabid and as raucous as ever. I think the Suns are going to be ready as a result, and the Clippers are going to have to bring their A game. I just wouldn't bet my money on them in a Game 5.
This has to be a very fulfilled Suns. They toughed this out. The Clippers came after them again, and they survived it with everything. Remember this, Chris Paul, he's on that list, of guys who haven't won championships: Stockton, Malone, Ewing, Mullen, the great players ever who haven't done it. Chris Paul wants to get to the finals and win a championship. And this is as good a chance. I mean, he had it in Houston, got sort of a game and a half away from it, and now he's right there again.
I will say this.
Hard to see them losing that game.
We can't ignore this. I'd be remiss in neglecting to point out this pivotal point. Tonight, we saw Paul George struggle from the free throw line. We saw the Clippers do the same. And that's what we have to pay attention to, particularly when you're talking about going back to Phoenix. It will take an A game from the Clippers to derail what appears to be the inevitable.
That list, I didn't mention my man Reggie Miller. I don't want Reggie mad at me.
That's right. No, they don't want to do that.
Cover that
It's
up.
not good to have Reggie Miller mad at you. That's just not wise. That's just not wise.
All right, Stephen A. and Michael Wilbon, nothing but net, which we cannot say about the Clippers and Suns in Game 4. We'll see you at Game 5.
Thanks.
Nobody was talking about anything from the offensive side, nor should we, because we couldn't score. We just couldn't put it in the hole. And I thought DeAndre's presence, his effort, the rebounding, shot blocking, his communication on defense, switching out on smaller guys and being able to guard them. He was the catalyst tonight on the defensive end. I thought it was an unreal performance from him.
Just talking to our guys, we had I think 12 possessions in the fourth quarter to take the lead, and just couldn't get over that hump. So I mean, it happens. I'm just proud of where our guys competed and fought, all night, and holding this team to 34 points in the second half when they're, powerful offense, and then we had a foul, I think, for 6 of those down the stretch. But our guys fought, we competed, couldn't make shots. Thought we got, took it personal a few times where we just kind of over dribble sometimes. But for the most part, when you're competing, that's going to happen. But like I said, I'm proud of our guys for the way we competed, and we just got to make some shots. That's it.
Tim Legler alongside. I like to be surprised by what Tim's going to show me. I genuinely have no idea what you're going to break down here, because that fourth quarter was a combination of fatigue, great defense, and just an inability for any shot to stay down. So what is it you're going to show me?
Yeah, you would think on a night like this I would go find 2 defensive plays in an 84-80 game. You would be wrong, my friend.
All right,
I'm going to find a couple of offensive possessions because buckets were hard to come by, but I like something Phoenix did at a critical time here. Start right here. Devin Booker's on the baseline against Patrick Beverley. This is one of his favorite spots. He likes to start out and come up the middle off an 8 and down screen. So that's the action they're going to get. But look at the read he makes at a critical time. There's a switch here. Now, Booker is going to come here off of this 8 and screen. Chris Paul sort of spins out. Now, the object is, let's try to get him the basketball right here. The key is going to be, what does Reggie Jackson do? Does he trail him or go over the top? And it's going to dictate what Devin Booker does right here, and he makes a great decision. And you can see right there, he's already planting this foot because he sees Reggie Jackson going over the top to close out on the high side. I love the fact that he's not going to catch it and play one-on-one deep into the clock. Instead, he's setting him up to get into his mid-range. Hey, look, Paul George cheated up, but ultimately he's going to have to get back to this three-point shooter, which means Devin Booker is going to get into this sweet spot right here for a 15-foot pull-up. Great read at a critical time in the game. Another possession right here. Chris Paul gives this thing up, and I love the fact that he immediately wants it back because he's got Zubac on him. Now, the read here is important. We don't see Chris Paul at this stage of his career dribble line straight drive to the rim. He's mid-range and he's threes. Here's what he's looking at. You got DeAndre Ayton down here with Paul George, and he knows Paul George is going to be reluctant to come, because if he does, it's going to be a lob up here for Ayton. Chris Paul's looking at that the whole way. He just puts his head down and he gets this thing all the way to the rim. Scott, why is this so important? Take a look right here. 77-74. Those were the last 2 field goals of the game for the Phoenix Suns. They did not score a field goal in the last 3.5 minutes and win because they're able to basically shut them down. The Clippers had a lot of bad decisions, tough shooting night. Both teams getting after defensively. I saw nerves tonight a little bit too with the importance of this moment. I think that affected a 9 for 51 3-point shooting night for the 2 teams.
You're the third person I'm going to ask in this show. I asked Booker and I asked Mark and Jeff this. The Clippers had so many chances, and just mentally, and for the crowd, right? Like, you get one ahead. Am I making more out of that than I ought to? Just just what it represents mentally that you're now leading this game after being down 16. How significant would it have been?
No, just having been in that situation with teams in games, and you're exactly right. It is an enormous hurdle to overcome. It feels different. It's one bucket. It's a 1-point swing either way, but it just feels completely different.
We're leading.
Right, and there's a good chance Monty Williams would probably take a timeout if they made one of those shots. Like down 1, he's probably going to take a timeout. The crowd's feeling it. We finally have taken the lead, and the pressure completely shifts to Phoenix. They just couldn't do it. Look, they missed some good looks, but I just thought overall tonight, I just thought both teams were indecisive. They held the ball too long. They were over-dribbling. And then guys started feeling the weight of, man, I got to make the next one. And when you start thinking that way, you get a pretty ugly offensive basketball game.
Well, at some point, the familiarity, and we talk about this, right? Like, we're all in the same rest. I know your sets, you know our sets, and people are, maybe you're tired, maybe it's the moment, whatever it is. We got a late 90s sort of a game, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Whatever. Phoenix doesn't give a bleep because they're 1 win away from the finals.
Last NBA season. Paul George has been so good in this series, averaging 29, 8, and 6 assists, 8 straight games at 27 points. He goes 5 for 20 from the field, 14th career playoff game, shooting 25% or worse from the field, breaking a tie that you don't want to break with James Harden for the most such games in the last 10 postseasons.
Fans leaving Staples Center did not get what they came to see on Saturday night as the Suns go in and beat the Clippers to take a 3-1 series lead. But we have what we need to help you understand why that happened. Kendrick Perkins back with us, as he has been throughout the Western Conference Finals. So, Perk, what was that offensively? This was a game the Clippers really needed to win, but their performance didn't reflect that. Was it just a bad night offensively from everybody at the same time? Was it Phoenix taking what they wanted away from them? I mean, how do you explain it?
Well, look, one thing is that Kawhi Leonard is missing. So that means roles have shifted. So that means you move Paul George to your Batman and Reggie Jackson is your Robin. Both of those guys combined went 13 for 44 from the field. Look, you cannot hold a team to under 85 points and not win the game at home. And I get it. The Phoenix Suns were on the Clippers' tops like a toupee. And they were all on top of them, contested shots. But this is why you get paid the big bucks. This is why you the go-to guys. You supposed to deliver and make those contested shots. And they didn't do that tonight.
Meanwhile, the Suns, in a game where you just get it over with, get the win and move on, they did it. Why did Phoenix win?
It was because of this man, DeAndre Ayton, the new modern-day right-handed David Robinson. Yes, I said it, the Admiral. This kid is very special. He dominated the floor on both ends of the floor. 19 points, 22 rebounds, 9 offensive rebounds. He was relentless on the glass, and he anchored the defense, being able to switch 1 through 5, guarding the guards on perimeter. And then, on top of that, anchor in the middle. The Clippers couldn't get nothing to the paint. That's why they had to settle for so many jumpers, because he did a phenomenal job. So with that being said, he was the best player on the floor, and this is the reason that the Suns won this game tonight.
You make an excellent point about those switches, because we saw them exploit Rudy Gobert against the Jazz when he couldn't get to those shooters.
Preach.
Ayton has been getting there. So now the Clippers have to win 3 straight games over the Suns, 2 of them in Phoenix if they get that far. Where does this series stand right now heading into Game 5?
Well, you know, I hate to go against Ty Lue because he's coming back from being down 3-1. But he don't have LeBron James, all right? And you're going back to Phoenix where this crowd is going to be rowdy. Role players play better at home. I'm expecting Devin Booker to get out of his slump. Phoenix in 5.
All right, so in the receipt department, you had Clippers in 6, but I think I know the answer. You win even when you lose.
No. In the receipt department, I had Suns in 6.
Okay.
Remember, it was a misunderstanding. You had to correct me. I had Suns in 6, but I'll take Suns in 5.
Misunderstanding. That's what we're going with.
Carry on.
Appreciate it, Perk.